something that's like a mosquito net. Pick up. We have a pick up. No.
It's my other brother from another mother.
It's my brother also.
It's your brother.
Yeah.
You know, I could do this every day.
20 classic.
How's it, man?
Welcome to the 11th edition of the Classic Safari with Quest Performance. We've done four classic events as our company, be it mini classic or main classic. I personally, before starting the company, were involved in classic since the year 2005. For us as a company, I think this would turn out to be the toughest event that we have ever done. This year we have Nish Lakhani in his Triple S, Robbie Calder in his 280Z, Jeff and Des Morris in their 260Z, and Bart van Haverberg in his 500 SLC from Belgium. So with all our clients, we try and maximize what we can give them, and we offer them different packages. So obviously for Nish, Calder and Jeff, it was an all-in-one package: arrive and drive, land in Vipingo, fly back to Nairobi, and we handled everything for them. For Bart, it was slightly different. We only handled their logistics for them. So closer to the event now, we have our entire team hands-on here in the workshop every day, making sure each individual service car's items have been arranged, that the end-day service truck's items have been arranged, the logistics vehicles have been booked. Basically, the last minute finalizing of everything, accommodation has been gone through, making sure we haven't missed out anyone's names and rooms. And we have to do this because we don't get our service cars or our end-day service truck or logistics vehicles until the day before we leave for the event. Reality sinks in basically the day we open that door and send everything out, from rally cars to service cars, our end-day service truck, our logistics car, and we close the door and lock it, and we're on the road to Mombasa. That is when reality checks in, that this is actually happening now. This year we set up our base at Vipingo, just near the airstrip, and that's where Prologue was happening. That's where Rally HQ was. We got there 2 days before the event starts, and that allows us to set up our base, set up service, offload the cars from the carriers, set them up, fuel them. The 2 days prior at Vipingo also gives us that chance where drivers come with their last minute changes, that they want their seat moved in a certain way, or they want some changes made to the car, or they want something handled at their accommodation venue in a better way. Once we've set up base and we've tested the cars and everything, we get them washed and we take them in convoy one by one to scrutineering, where we're met with a very friendly team of Robert Gao, and then we pack it up and we get ready for the prologue. Prologue is a very important part of this rally. It's more of a shakedown for the drivers and the cars and the service crew. I know for a fact Lakhani had an issue of power loss, I think, or a misfire. I think it had more to do with altitude and the carburetors not being set correctly. And you know, we're all experienced in our various strengths, I would say. I have my strengths and weaknesses, my other mechanics in the teams, lead mechanics, have their strengths and weaknesses, and we jump in to help each other out. And we also do get help from other mechanics, so, you know, Raji Barij comes in and he helped tune the carburetors for Nish's car, and eventually had that car going pretty on song. Yeah. The first stage started off in Sokoke, which would have been now the longest stage of the event. We obviously departed from the hotels way before sunrise, got to our service spot, set it up and waited for the drivers. At this point in time we're sitting around twiddling our thumbs, and the one thing some of our crew are doing, and I don't like doing it, it just gives me anxiety, is looking on the iPad and tracking the cars. And we're just monitoring their movement. Have they stopped? Have they not stopped? What speed they're doing, comparing their speeds to other drivers. And if they have stopped, we monitor how long they've stopped for. Generally, we don't communicate with them if they've stopped until they give us a phone call. So sure enough, we were monitoring all our cars, and Calder was first in the stage from our 4 cars, and he was really booting it in that stage, and he overtook quite a number of cars and came to a point where eventually he stopped. And he stopped for more than 5 minutes. We obviously started worrying that, has he damaged something? Has he gone off? Has he crashed? Or is he just a puncher that they're struggling to change? And then they start moving again, but at a very slow pace, and then they stop again. So that immediately tells us that he has a problem. It's not a puncher, they've probably damaged the suspension component and they're trying to pull out of the stage or drive out of the stage at snail pace. And then we get a call from the navigator saying that both the shocks at the back are blown, so get ready. So from our experiences, we know sometimes it's not just the shock, sometimes it's the arm, it's the drive shaft, it's the hub that you need to change as well. So in that time before they get out of the stage, we are already preparing the shocks, the hubs, the arms, the complete underside of the car. That worst case scenario, we are ready to change everything if need be. He was crawling out at 15, 20 kilometers per hour. Everyone he overtook obviously overtook him again, and when he came out of the stage, you could see that the back left had just dropped and he was crawling towards us. But when we opened the boot to change the shock, we were met with horror, where the strut tower had actually exploded open and there was nothing holding the shock absorber. And your first instinct as a mechanic at that point is like, this is it. We're out of the game. We've damaged the shell, we've damaged the body. How are we going to put this thing back? But we quickly, you get your ready welder out. We have, like I said before, different people in our team have different skill sets. So we quickly pulled Shaza, who's a fantastic welder, and said, bro, jump into this car. I'll look after your car when it comes, but jump into this car, bring this strut tower back into some sort of shape to get this car going for the rest of the event. And obviously Shaza jumped in, they started welding that thing together. We lost a lot of time, but we changed the shock, we changed the hub, put everything back in place, and the Calder guys carried on with their event. First night's end day service was a bit of a hectic one, obviously, because of what happened to Robbie Calder's car, and we obviously needed all hands on deck to get that car back on the road properly. So we obviously strategized between Shaza, Tariq, myself, and the Belgians. We got the cars in accordingly. We repaired what needed to be repaired, got them out, and on my car we obviously had, you're allowed 4 mechanics on the car. So we had the 4 guys working on the car, fabricating, welding, some guys working on the front suspension. But on the outside, we had people assembling the shocks, the hubs, making sure the shafts are okay, getting everything ready to put back on the car. And sure enough, by the end of the 2 hours, we got that car back into Park Ferme ready for the next day. So as we moved on through the event, unfortunately for the Belgians, they had They had a string of issues with that car simply because it's not meant for the safari. And their mechanics were working endlessly, full-heartedly, just trying to get that car from one spot to the other, and they did manage to achieve that. Whereas our other cars, you know, Calder's issue on day one obviously carried on to day two, where the hub dismantled itself. And again, on the tracker you see them stop, but you get a call from them that this has happened and we are fixing it and we're going to get ourselves out. And that's the beauty of being a mechanic and driving the car. So Robbie and Gav are somewhat bush mechanics and they can understand the car and get themselves out. You know, Nish had an issue, unfortunately, where 2 clicks into the first or second stage, I think, of day 2.
We got into the first stage of the day, and 2 kilometers into the section, I think we clipped a rock and broke our drive shaft, which is quite a freak accident. Of course, Don must have hit the U-joint at the right place to unclip it, and that's quite a process and time-consuming to replace it. So we lost that stage. We were time-barred out of that stage.
But eventually they did change the drive shaft, came out of the stage, skipped one stage and carried on to the next, to the last stage of that day. Jeff and Des were having a fantastic run, and you know, they were having, I think, just minor issues, like their doors were not locking properly and all that stuff, but Shaza quickly found a solution and had that sorted out. And at one point in the first half of the rally, Jeff and Des were our top competitor out of the 4 vehicles, and we were really, really rooting for them.
No, we've only lost a bumper when we pulled someone out of the mud, so we got no rear bumper on the car, but that's all we've lost, so we're okay.
Nothing mechanical, they could still carry on and complete the stage. First half of the rally, service crews also had their fair share of issues. I remember well on day 2, we had set up service in Taveta on a slight incline where everyone was. And you know, news started coming in that the next stage was absolutely waterlogged. Cars couldn't get through. There was a truck stuck, I think, and blocked the road. By the time our service crew get there, we get a call from Tariq, and he's like, dude, this is a real shit show, and you guys are not going to make it. There's a lot of cars stuck, and it's going to take us some time to get through here. And Tariq, full of energy, always wanting to help people, now started jumping in everyone's cars to get them out of the mud and helping them out. He managed to get cars out and clear some way for himself and our service crew. And unfortunately, when he was motoring down Rombo on that black cotton, he lost control of the car. I think the car in front of him pressed its brakes or something, and Tariq just became a passenger and went straight and rear-ended that car, which now meant we're down 1 service car. And that's what Quest's about, you know, we've got the right people in the right place handling the right things, and my team just quickly went into place, ordered a car from Nairobi, sent it over, and by the end day service of that particular day, Tariq had another service car to move on with. Safety of service crews and competitors is paramount in this event, and you know, we have had incidences where serious accidents happen. And I think the organisers made a right decision in cancelling that stage in Rombo, because it was just impossible for service crews to get there. Because at times we do break the law. We speed just to get from one point to the other, and we get caught by cops. We have to pay our fines and what you have it, but safety is paramount, and I think it was a right decision by the organisers to cancel that stage. All in all, the first half of the event was really stressful for us, demoralizing at one point, then your morale gets lifted again when times get reinstated. Nish Lakhani was holding really, really good positions, and unfortunately that drive shaft issue really brought them down. And They tried their hardest to climb up each stage. They kept fighting for their time back, and they were driving exceptionally well. I think this is the best I've ever seen that crew drive. Robbie Calder maintained a certain pace after the issue on day one, after having dropped significantly, just to try and maintain and climb up progressively. Meanwhile, Des and Jeff, they were just climbing consistently. They were our top competitor. They were doing really well. They also maintained a constant, but they were just climbing. Bart had his fair share of problems, obviously, because the car was not meant for the safari. But in saying that, he had a fantastic team of mechanics from Belgium as well, who are very experienced in the classic. They've done quite a few classics. But in saying that, every time he did not have an issue, man, was that car motoring. That car was really, really flying. It had some potential when it came to power. And I think Bart himself is a fantastic driver. At the end of day 4, there's no end day service. So that is the point in time where mechanics can now have a bit of a break. And that first break that we get is just banter and camaraderie between all the mechanics in our team, mechanics of other teams, sitting with the drivers and navigators, and just having a laugh.
Max jump!
But very well knowing that we can't have too much fun, because by 6 in the morning the next day we have to be at service park working on these cars. Here we are on rest day, day 5 of the event, and this is where we have 6 hours to work on the cars. Once the car is in, it's literally anything we can do to the car. So we do major works now. We are now dropping suspension, we're dropping gearbox to inspect clutches. We're working on fabrication, body cracks, welding. Name it, anything that the car had an issue on is what we're working on. This service we're normally done with by about 3 p.m, 4 p.m. Cars are parked back in Parc Fermé, and we are now replenishing our stocks, our consumables. We're reloading the end day service truck. We're reloading our service pickups for the second half of the event. And the beauty about this during this event was we are in Nairobi. So being in Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, we had access to almost everything that we needed. Second half of this event brought its fair share of issues and surprises. When we got the call that Jeff has stopped and he's in the river, he's still in the river, Shaza was on call with them, and we immediately knew they've either swallowed water and there's a hydrolock. So we were already prepared for worst case scenario, and again our team got together and we said at the end of the day, whatever it takes, whatever the max penalty is, we'll open that engine and we'll rebuild it and get him ready for the next day. That same particular day we had a misfire crop up on Robbie's car, which was getting harder to diagnose, and I eventually told him on one roadside service, I remember coming down near him when he was sitting in the car, and I told him, we've gone through distributor coils, the car's getting fuel, there's spark, there's everything. And I looked at him and I said, I think we have a compression problem. Which basically means the engine might be on its way out. And true to the fact, when we got to the end day service, we had no compression on cylinder number 5. It was dead. So we knew immediately the engine's on the way out, and I know we looked into the engine and we saw the valve had dropped, and between Tariq, Shaza and myself, we put our brains together, and a big shout out to Piers Dakin who came in to help us, and we got that valve back up and we locked it in place and we removed everything to make sure that cylinder number 5 is not operating anymore, and Calder had to do the next 2 days on 5 cylinders instead of 6. Piers helped us out with a set of ignition leads to help us get rid of the electronic side of the misfire, which surprisingly the car behaved better in the next 2 days, and Calder really enjoyed his drive at that point. You know, at this point in time, you're full of adrenaline, you're full of, there's a rush going through your body, you're driving for a class win, and there's a lot going through your mind. And all of this, even for the other drivers and mechanics, we tend to forget what day it is, and whether it's a Monday or Tuesday. We don't know if it's day 6 or day 7 of the event.
I think we're on day 6. Don't ask me the date of the year or the month. I have no bloody clue.
We're lost in this bubble. We don't know where we are in terms of time.
No idea, you have to ask my navigator.
Fika diani bana.
Bas, bombe.
Namnai.
Second half of the event brought its own fair shares of gremlins with the service crews, and but the funny thing about it is, like we said, we find solutions to problems, and we can do them very quickly, and we have a team for that. And engine went, and we quickly called our famous Charles Hinger from Auto Movers, put our car on his car carrier, and we went for roadside service to roadside service on our pickup. And the funny thing was, as we were approaching our first roadside service that day, they were just seeing this Amarok on a car carrier with 2 goofy mechanics, me and Umar sitting in the car, and they just, you know, you're getting those cheers and hands up and, you know, clapping and whistles being blown. We were now the last service car getting there, but we still made it in time before any of our rally cars got there. So all in all, Nish recovers from his mishaps. He drives really, really well this rally, gets up in a good position, and gets a class win. Robbie Calder maintained his constant, and you know, just kept climbing, and considering the issues he had this event, he finished in a remarkably well position. Jeff and Des Page Morris, it was unfortunate for them, having done so well, that they had to just pull out of the event, and I agree with them that it didn't make sense trying to rebuild that engine and trying to carry on, because 1, they would have dropped a lot of position, and number 2, there's a lot of time and effort being put into trying to rebuild something that in the bush that we don't know is going to work well the next day. For Bart and his crew, they did exceptionally well considering the issues they had and how they had to fight every day just to keep that car on the road. And you know, a big shout out to their mechanics for working hard, effortlessly, every night, every day, every night, just trying to put that car on the road and still bring that car to the podium at the end of the day. So it was a really, really good and successful rally for our team. And just like that, the dust settles. A testament to the pinnacle of our journey, a journey that commenced over a year ago with some of our clients.
9 very tough days. What are you feeling? What emotion?
It's been one hell of a ride. We've had everything, all the emotions every single day. But just to get to the end is so emotional, and it's the prayers that we lived on the last stage, because both our trailing arms were completely cracked. So everything worked.
Is there a lot of people stuck back there?
Yes, there's a lot of carnage at the back. It's quite slippery there.
Our entire team, from mechanics to logistics, have poured their hearts into this endeavour, meticulously preparing for any issue that arose and how we tackled it. We were ready for everything. A big shout out to Eve, Mama Quest, who worked tirelessly and effortlessly to make sure that wherever we were staying, the rooms were catered for, our food and beverages were catered for, and that everyone was comfortable.
Our team worked very hard on the car during all week, and my duty is to bring the car now to the finish.
To all who labored tirelessly behind the scenes, your contribution did not go unnoticed. And thank you to all of you. You all know who you are. Even those members who were not part of our team, from, Azhar Anwar coming in on rest day service, Raji helping us out, Piers Dakin effortlessly helping me out before the event, during the event, Dan Sport for helping us out. That's just to name a few. Turning to the drivers, I extend my deepest gratitude for picking us and entrusting us as Quest Performance in running your team and running your car, and we really hope that we delivered what you expected. And thank you for having faith in us.
Thanks to everyone who's been involved. My navigator, Just Neil, with Quest Performance, who built the car. Fantastic.
What emotions running in your mind right now?
Whew. Cheery. This has been the toughest one so far. Robbie drove like a demon. The car's been prepared by Quest and Jazz. Team's been fantastic. It's another tick in the box for me, yeah.
Jazz, Umar and Shaz and the whole Quest team, you are absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. Nothing was too much trouble. You're always prepared, always motivational, always ready for us. And your welcome smiling faces at the end of every stage really did make a difference. We very much look forward to being part of Quest in the upcoming rallies. Thank you.
I am Jas and I am Quest. My team and I will see you on the next stretch of adventure where the spirit of the race awaits.
Thank you. If you need my hand, just call me.